You muted if you're talking.
You know I was talking. I was like, where's everybody? I went in the private chat and that's what I was reading. I was like, where is everybody at?
Oh, what's going on? What's going on, Nikki? Nicole?
I ain't hear you.
I said, what's going on, everybody?
Just came back from the laundromat to pull everything up all my stairs, so I'm trying to hurry up and get on here with y'all.
Girl.
Yeah, I just had a quick late lunch, early dinner. I don't know what it was. Ran up here.
I was making mine, and then I looked. I'm like, oh, so I grabbed some crackers and some cheese and pepperoni. I was like, I gotta hold me over because I'm starving.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was like from 4 to 5 or 5 to 6. So I was like, let me make sure I get on here and double check.
I know after I done staged the uprising for y'all to get y'all better show up.
I'm still behind on the feedback form in the Netflix. I got pretty far on it, but I'm still, it's like I did every other assignment, but I still haven't finished my portfolio or my Netflix.
Hey guys.
Hey, what's going on, Wade?
Hey.
It's a net in here. I got plants and I got these nets, and I swear, I know y'all probably see me. I be doing like this. Is like, why are these nets? You know what though? My niece is doing the program at Lemoyne, and I was talking to her, and she said that just, like every day, just do a little bit. Like it's only something to do, but every day you gotta do a little bit, and then.
Don't touch.
Yeah, I have been like, it's been a crazy amount. I literally did like 24 hours of just coding, like, and just pushing through, going through. Yeah. So I literally crashed on Friday and then got up. I did a Saturday to a Sunday of just coding, getting everything done. So I'm gonna keep
I was doing Friday night. I finished that first series on Free Code Camp. So then I tapped into like the certificate, and I was like, oh no, I backed up out of there. It was time to go. I was like, it's time to go to bed. I ain't even go to happy hour. I'm like, after that, I needed a drink.
That when they wanted you to make the tribute website or something?
Right. When I went in there.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Like, ID equals menu. I'm like, we ain't do that. We didn't do that. I was like, what is this about?
Yeah, I went and did it, but I had to go back, like look at some of theirs sometimes. But I thought I my way through it.
So what is ID equals menu? Because now I know about Flexbox, and we didn't learn about Flexbox, but I feel real good about the Flexbox. You can have the gaps between the things. I was feeling real good about myself, and then I clicked in there and I was like, you don't know as much as you think you know. I'm about to go to bed.
That's how I felt too. But so they would say something like have an image element that has an ID of image. So that meant you had to use the image. Right, the image tag, and then give it an ID of image. So you know how you put class equals whatever, you put ID equals image, and so they.
But I thought it said menu. I thought it was ID equals menu.
Whatever, I'm just saying, whatever it is, they're saying use a particular element, and for this element, give it the ID of this. So if they said use a div,
I got you.
Give an ID. Right. Okay.
Maybe it was late. I was like, I don't know what these people talking about. I'm about to go to bed.
But there was some stuff I had to look back and forth with the code, and my pictures. My thing is still not perfect, but it passed the 10 tests.
Oh.
Yeah, I looked at that stuff and I said, yeah, I'm going to do that later.
Yeah, me too.
Put it off.
I kind of want to do it and get it done before I start working on JavaScript, because I don't want to be like, I don't want to start JavaScript and then be trying to go back. So I said maybe this week, since we got the 5 days before we start JavaScript, I was like maybe like Monday and Tuesday.
Oh, really? I thought that was last week.
I think he said he's gonna give it to us this week so we can
give us the homework, because JavaScript got 113 exercises.
Right. So he's gonna give. I think he's gonna give us something this week.
That's next level.
Well, I did the prep work, so I feel like I understand it, but it's still like stuff that I need to learn, obviously. But I feel like it's still gonna be okay. Like I'm still gonna be all right.
Another thing that I know so something called GitLab. So you know when you search stuff, as soon as you go on Facebook, then all these things start popping up. So somebody named GitLab had this thing, and I clicked this link, and it gave me this book about DevOps, but it's only 17 pages. So I was trying to save the DevOps thing so I could share it in the live stream, but every time I tried to do it, I couldn't do it. So I was like, but it's like, it's just giving you information about what DevOps is, but it's with GitLab. So I'm thinking it's got something to do with GitHub. And I was like, I don't know what this is.
Are we sure this the right time? Why would Max be late?
Maybe he forgot.
Maybe he think it's 5:30.
It actually doesn't even look like he's logged into Slack.
I had a one-on-one with him on Friday. He said 5 o'clock Sunday.
Yep.
Oh.
Somebody
I
said,
was rushing.
We can chit chat. Look, we can chit chat. We here.
Have you guys?
Chit chat? So I'm like, where is he at?
I usually get to socialize this much, so we probably like we can kind of help each other out.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Have you guys picked your
this is what I want to talk about.
I did. I picked my capstone.
So I was okay. So I picked 2, and I wanted to run it by you. I was gonna put a poll in the group chat.
Oh, you could make a poll? You fancy like that?
No, it's like a regular option. You click the button for poll, you put 2 things in there. But I was thinking that I could do either one for like local youth around here, like different type of like services that they could get, because sometimes when you're underage, you can't get stuff because your parents and stuff like that. So something in that nature. And then I had another one called Casting Pro, and I was gonna do that for actors, models, or like people who are interested in beauty contest, like stuff like that, because it's not a lot of stuff like that here in Syracuse. And when I wanted to do that stuff, I was unable to get to those things. So I was gonna put like access and different things like that. So what that sound like? I should go with the first one.
I like the first one.
which one are you more passionate about?
That too.
I really like the first one, but I would say honestly, like keep both ideas. I would say maybe as far as the capstone, I like the first one, but that second one definitely sounds like something that you can still do.
Yeah, worth doing.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
If you do the first one.
Yeah,
do
both.
the first one. Once you learn how to do the first one, the second one, you're gonna know how to do it because you've already followed all the steps.
I feel like I couldn't find a name for the first one. I couldn't find a name, so I gotta probably think of that. Wayne, your son is cute. You have a son, right?
Yeah.
Oh, look at him.
Right now. He's crying.
It's okay.
This is Dream.
Hi, Dream.
Oh my God, I love it.
You ain't gotta talk for us.
See
Doug, what was your idea? Did you come up with an idea?
I did. I think one of my ideas, Larry and I had the same. I was thinking of like when you go to the grocery store, you enter in your list to the app and it'll show you a map of the shortest route through the grocery store to get all the items.
Oh, that's cool.
That sounds hard.
That's going to be interesting because what I'm going to do, and my friend made a
dope.
It does. I'm going to ride my bike, and I'm going to map routes
No more crying.
on my bike, but I'm going to use the information from the city that tells you good routes to ride your bike. And so now my friend was telling me that I could buy this camera, and I could put the camera on my helmet, which
a GoPro.
I can put the helmet, yeah, GoPro. So she said I can put the camera on my helmet, and then when I ride, I can be not only mapping the route, but a visual, make it more visual. And then I would post, look, he told me, look, I wrote all this stuff down. I'm old, I have to write stuff down.
That'd be good. Yeah, it would show if there's like a lot of traffic and how the rain is.
Well, some of these bike routes, you see, like if you ever go on Salina Street, you see bike routes, but it's like, what does this lead to? And that's not safe. So I want to ride routes that are safe to show people like this is a safe route, and then or this is a dangerous route. I don't know how. I might have to ride the dangerous routes like during the day, or when there's not a lot of traffic, or like times, but it's called a content management interface. That's what he said. And he said I could call it Christie's bike routes. And
Okay.
what else was I gonna say? Oh, another thing for you know how LinkedIn has classes.
Mhm.
So you know how they want us to connect with LinkedIn. If you have a library card, I
Yep.
think LinkedIn classes are free for you. So
Yep.
if anybody got a library card and they want to do LinkedIn,
What's
they
up?
can use
Yeah, when
their.
How do you make that work? Because I tried to take a stab at that and I didn't know how to access it. I couldn't.
We
Yeah.
You gotta,
we have to work on it.
I actually have one, and you have to have a library card. And when you go to the library website, it's like it's on a little section in there, and you click on it, and then it brings you to like the LinkedIn student site. They don't let you get a login or anything like that, so it's always just up in my in like a tab for
We
mine.
have to go on the library site and then get to it through the library site. Okay, so Stephanie, you got to go on the library's website and
Then
then
you use your library card to log in, and you got access to mad different classes.
And what kind of classes are they?
Thank you.
well, you know, we have to update our LinkedIns, and our LinkedIns need to look like the blog. You know, like we can use the LinkedIn, the blog, and put information. You know that those things that Lori sends us or Lauren.
Yeah, I haven't really looked at her stuff yet.
I did.
I'm behind on that too.
I
Yeah.
watched her video. I've been trying to watch them YouTube videos on that Oculus. I don't like that Oculus. I don't
Larry.
like it at all.
Well, what are you doing?
I don't
Right.
know. It's too advanced for me. It's too much. Like I'm already in this class. You know what I'm saying? My brain, my brain is 50. So my brain is like, you doing too much. So I just think, plus I need the thing that go on the back of your head. That's $109. So I don't know.
Yeah, I bought that with mine when I got it. So it came.
See, I didn't know that. I put that strap on my head and then I had that thing was hanging on my face. I was like, I can't do this. And
Yeah,
then-
you could adjust it tighter, but I like the I got two different ones, but I like the it's called the Elite strap because you can dial it in.
well, I saw the Elite strap.
Hello.
And then
Y'all right by the library, huh?
Yeah, I'm picking it up from work.
oh, okay.
What's going on, Stephanie? Zach?
Zach, we just chit-chatting because we don't know where Max is.
Oh,
Did anybody write them?
Oh yeah.
I did, but he's not showing in
So let's
Right.
talk. Okay, so then let's talk about next week. Since he's not here, we can get a prelude. Who knows anything about GitHub? What is GitHub? I know that man posted something. I didn't even see it. Just so happened that I went back. I did set up an account. I used my Google account. So now that we have this GitHub, what are we going to be doing? Does anybody know what GitHub is about?
Yes.
so-
It's like, oh, go ahead, Larry.
So GitHub is a place where you can store your code, or you can go and access other people's code, among other things. So if you write an app, right, and you want, while you're going through the process, there are going to be different versions of your app. So you work on a part of it, you push it to GitHub, it has that version. You continue working, then you make another push, it has the new version. So you can just say the third version broke everything. You can go back to the second version that you knew was working. So it's a place to hold files and access files. Basically, that's what it is.
And somehow, if you're working with more than one developer, like you can they got something called branching. I don't quite know how it works, but so you're saving your different versions, but then somebody else can kind of branch off one of those versions, work on it independently. So you got two different versions going on, and then you merge them somehow.
So
Right.
is it kind of like SharePoint? Like if you was at a job and you put something on SharePoint, but somebody else within your organization can go on SharePoint and use your information or have access?
I would say it's kind of different from that because I don't think SharePoint is necessarily keeping all of the different versions of what you sent up there, right? So if you save a file and make a change, for the most part, it's keeping that version that you just saved and not the other one. Sometimes there's ways to go back and access them, but generally, that's not the purpose of it. So
Okay.
for this, like people could go get your work. So say you made Christie's bike lane and you have the code accessible to people. When someone wants to add on to that with maybe a VR over display or something, right?
Mhm.
They can take your code and like Doug was saying, branch it and then add on to it and make something different. Or if there's an error in your code, someone can say, hey, I noticed this error in your code. Here's the fix. And they can ask you, can they, submit the fix or something like that.
Or let me give you a different example. Say somebody create like a homepage style, a specific type of way, he could just share that whole file. You could take it and tweak it to what
And
you
make it
want.
more like what you want. So it's a collaboration. So some of
Right.
the stuff that we're basically creating from scratch, we
You
can
could put it
see
right.
there and we can say, oh, okay, I can use this, and this. Kind of like how we do when we go to
So Bootstrap or
yeah,
Flex.
oh, okay.
Right.
So GitHub is another, okay.
Right.
It's
All
like
right, so you know how when
us.
Max is working on something, he does, even though it's the same thing, if it's the first day of class, he does day one, then he copies it, does day two, and so think of GitHub as something like that also. When you're making you're working on your project, I
It's like
submit.
like a versioning system.
Right, it is. I submit, this version now because this is what I worked on today, and I don't want to lose anything. Then tomorrow you pick up, you make changes to whatever you had the day before. Then you push that to GitHub, keep going. So it's a bunch of different stuff, but yeah, one of the main things it holds files and different versions of stuff. So
Okay. And so
Well-
that he got all of us, so we all have like a free student access to that.
That's cool.
Well, GitHub is free.
Right, but I'm saying he sent us that thing. Remember, he said each person, did you see that spreadsheet where you clicked on the link of your name?
Oh, yeah, and it had all those different softwares.
yeah,
Right, at the bottom and stuff. Did you set that up?
I clicked the download. I clicked where it gave me access, but I didn't start opening up any of the different programs because I thought that he was going to like walk us through what they all were and what we're supposed to do with them.
I think we're supposed to have a certain amount done, and then I think once he comes in, so we're learning DevOps with him next week too, right?
No,
Is
with
that
Nate.
why?
So
Huh?
With Nate. We got Nate and a new teacher. Nate is our guest person. We got a new teacher, Latoya, or like assistant teacher.
That's teaching us DevOps, but we learning DevOps this week, right?
Yeah, this week with Nate, he gonna be the guest person that come in and help teach us. He probably gonna be on Zoom just like that. And then so is Latoya. She's the assistant teacher, and she gonna be on.
TA. I don't think she teaching
Yeah,
us
No, she's not teaching us nothing. Nate is teaching us DevOps.
all week. And Nate is doing GitHub because we're doing GitHub this week.
Yeah,
and
it's kind of like it's gonna go hand in hand, like with each other.
Oh, okay.
yeah. I don't think Max is our teacher this week. I don't think
Why wouldn't he be our teacher?
because he says there's times where he's not
Right.
gonna teach because someone else is teaching certain
He's
portions.
our
of it. So this
overall.
might be the week that he's not teaching.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's not going to be on the Zoom or not, but I think this is the week he's not teaching.
He said he might come on Zoom, but he did say that this week we wouldn't have to hear his voice. Remember he was saying you won't have to hear my voice.
yeah.
I be missing stuff, like stuff be going right over my head, especially if I'm trying to code. Or do
I know,
something.
Chatty Cathy, because you be chatting.
When do I be chatting? I talk to myself when I'm trying to think things through, but I don't be just chatting.
Or you be
If I
talking
think
to your
something-
kids.
if something comes to my mind, I just gotta hear it say it because I'm gonna forget it. But no.
So has anybody worked on started working on the capstone thing? Was at least that bike, Doug, are you gonna go with the grocery thing or?
I don't know. Should I talk with you about what you're doing?
Nah.
I asked Max, he said it's not a problem if two people are doing similar projects.
Right. One thing I was trying to do was trying to get access to some APIs.
Yeah, I was looking at that city data site that Jason showed us. and I couldn't figure out how to drill down to the databases. Like I would click on a category like neighborhoods, and then it would be a page and it would say like different things like water main bursts and.
I'm gonna share my screen because I played with it. I'm gonna share my
Oh,
screen.
please.
Yeah, I only did questions. I only answered the questions on the thing on the sheet.
But though, if you was going to use the groceries, would you try to use? Are you looking for data for grocery stores from the from open data thing?
No, not from there. I don't think that would happen. So apparently Wegmans has a database, but I looked into it and it seemed like you need this Microsoft service to be able to access it.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
tried that.
$600 a month.
Oh yeah, I tried that. That didn't work for me either. There were a couple of people that did something with Wegmans stuff, so I did email them.
Oh, I don't.
Like previous students?
Not students from here, but just people I found on the internet. So I emailed them. I'm waiting to hear back from them to see if they respond or not.
Yeah, Max told me another way, like if we can't get a database, you can do something called scraping. Like you write a program that will look through the website and find, like, because he was showing me if you go to the Wegmans site, you can put in a category of product.
Max is coming.
It'll show you all the products and the aisle that they're on. So he said there's a way you can write a program that'll look through the web page and pull out all the items and aisles. So he said you can make your own database that way.
I thought about that.
Max
What
is
is one
getting
you
on
did
now.
Target?
Max is getting on now.
Yeah, he just sent a message in Slack.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So Christy, you want to show real quick how this works?
Okay, so here it is. So let's see.
Christy's doing the bike project.
You see, now look, now I said I could tell you, but now that I'm in here, I don't remember what I did. Oh man, I might have to show you later since Max is coming. But it was dang. It was a way to show like different aspects of it. I have to figure it out. I was in here playing around with it and now, oh, here it is. So you do a filter. So you see how it says bike suitability is excellent. So then you apply the filter. So look, do you see how little of the lanes are excellent?
Yeah.
And then, so I want to remove the filter. Nope, I didn't want to do that. Darn it. Filter. So look, I'll pick. So we're gonna say good. And then I'll apply the filter. So these are where they're good. And so this is how I would be able to pick. I'm guessing, but I don't know how much of this I would use, but this is how you would use it. So when I click on here, then I do the filter. So what I did was I went into the bike sustainability and then I clicked on it, but see this little filter button? So then I was able to filter it. And because they have 4 ratings. So you could use any of the 4 rating system right here. Let's see what else is over here. So they have some other stuff. I don't know what that is. So I'm gonna do poor. So these are the poor routes. These are bad. And they have a grid that defines what makes it poor, what makes it good, what makes it excellent. There's like a whole bunch of factors. Let's see.
Do you want to transition over to the laptop?
Oh, and then they even tell you roads like Avery Ave is poor.
Oh.
Bear Street, poor.
Where did you find, what was that under?
I just clicked right here. This is like a.
Can you hover? Oh yeah, if you hover, it'll say like the description.
So see, these are all the streets that are poor. North Townsend, Onondaga Road. I just clicked on that. So let's see. Let's go back into.
Can you go all the way like from the homepage to getting to here?
All right, let's try that. So what I did, let me go back. I'm gonna start all over. So I'm on, I went in here and I said bike, okay? So then when I got to bike, I clicked on this. And then from here, what did I do? View full details. And then on here, I picked this map viewer. Right here.
Okay.
So then that's where I got into here. And I picked options. No. I don't know what I did. Open new map viewer. No. Yes. No. Oh, wait.
So one thing I want to throw out.
Help us, Max, help us.
Who's here?
I've been here for 28 minutes. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I was trying to show Doug how we got to the map viewer. So I fumbled around and then he asked me to show him a clear path. And then here we are.
So one thing I will throw out is ArcGIS. GIS is Geography Information Systems, I think. Don't quote me on that, but is a very popular mapping platform. So if you find yourselves interested at the intersection of like technology and mapping, taking a YouTube course on ArcGIS may be something interesting. And I also know there's a local data group that does some ArcGIS work. So just something to throw out and keep in the back of your head of ArcGIS is just a very popular mapping platform for data visualizations.
Okay, here's. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing now.
What questions can I answer for you guys now that I'm only 20 some minutes
I got
late?
a question.
Oh boy.
Go for it.
So I was thinking of doing something in regards to like finding resources for youth here in Syracuse, like something local.
Yep.
Or going with I think I told you already, the Casting Pro for actors or people who want to model and things of that nature.
Sure.
But I was looking, what got to me was I was looking at all the winning stuff from the stuff on the, basically all the samples that you gave. And I was just going through all of them and I'm like, dang, they really did some nice stuff. So I'm like, dang.
Yeah, so you've got lots of options, and I was actually just talking to a student about this on one-on-one, right? Of like, there will be a way to make almost any project be full stack and meet the requirements for the class, right? So then it becomes an issue of like, well, how do I pick which one I want to do? And I think passion is a huge part of that, right? Because like you're going to hit frustration points along this path where you're like, oh, I base my whole project around this data and it turns out I can't get access to that data. What do I do now? And so that's when you really have to be passionate about the project to find a way around it. Or you've got to jump ship and go to a different project, which that happens. We don't encourage it, but at the same time, like it does happen. So, I think the thing that's probably the most important in choosing your capstone is like, am I going to be excited to show this off? Because if you're at graduation and you don't really care about what you built, like that's going to show for employers who are at graduation. And they're like, well, if they don't care about what they built, why should we care about what they're presenting, right?
Okay. So how does that work? You said, so is there going to be people there that's going to view the capstone? Not just us?
So at graduation, it's friends and family are welcome. And it is basically, you've got like 5-ish minutes to present not only your capstone project, but like your journey of what you've learned by doing the capstone over the course of the program. So it's not it's not like a big deal. It's not like you get a final grade on your capstone or anything like that. It is more of a celebration of it's an actual graduation, right? Hey, you made it to the end of the program. Great. But it's also a chance to show off your capstone. And I know both at cohort 1 and cohort 2's graduation, there were some employers that reached out and they were like, hey, really liked your capstone. If you're interested in taking the next steps with that app, like we would love to talk to you. And so that is something that definitely can happen. And I think it's important to remember that like this capstone is a learning opportunity, and chances are your minimum viable product is probably not going to be a product, you know, at day one after graduation. But it is definitely a great starting point for saying, hey, do I want to keep working on this app? Do I want to keep learning from it? Do I want to work with an employer on this app? All of that fun stuff. So the capstone is more than just a learning opportunity. It can become a next step for your career as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. Other questions I can answer for you guys.
Yeah, I have a question. So my ideal requires access to APIs from stores.
Yep.
And kind of hard trying to find the APIs for the stores I'm looking for. But I do have like a brochure from a long time ago.
Yep.
Of what's in the store and where it's at. So if I can't get access to the APIs, could I kind of create my own database with this information and use that as a proof of concept?
Absolutely. So you got two ideas there. One is the notion of dummy data, which is, hey, you know, I may not have access to this live data, but I can still show off my app and still learn all the full stack concepts from it. At which point using dummy data is fine, right? And you don't need to hide that either. You can say when you're presenting, you know, I tried to get access to this live data, I couldn't do it. So here's some example data that I've loaded into the database. And you know, a store could come in, and if they wanted to partner with our app, they could load in that information themselves and it would work live. So that's one option. The other option you can look into is, while we don't formally cover this concept in the curriculum, it is something that we have seen students tackle in their capstone projects, and that's the notion of scraping. And scraping is basically building a bot to go on the internet, pull data off websites, and store it in a structured way. So you may not be able to go on a website and get access to their data through an API through their database directly. But if that information is publicly accessible on some web page, you can essentially build a bot that will go through each one of those pages, pull the data off of it, and store it in a database for you. So that is one thing to consider. And you may get to the point where you go, well, let me start with the dummy data and I'll build out my whole app. And then if I get to the end and I still have time, I can go back and build a scraper to pull that data in live. So that is another option to keep in the back of your head. But there is no requirement that you have to use someone else's API. There is no requirement that, you know, you totally can use some dummy data or load it up and say, you know, I didn't get access to this, but based off of this data that I've loaded in myself, here's my whole app, and that's completely fine.
Thank you.
What about the guy that came and talked to us that worked at Target? What if you guys did something like that, but then did it with Target?
He said Target is on lockdown ever since they got hacked. They don't give nobody access to nothing.
Oh, okay.
One thing you may be able to do is reach out to him though and say like, hey, I know you guys don't give live API data access, but is there a way that I could get like a one-time download of this store's data in this one place? And he may say, no way, I work in the marketing department or the, you know, different department. We don't even, you know, I don't even have access to that data. But it is definitely worth reaching out to the company and saying like, hey, I'm a boot camp student. I have this idea. Is it possible to get access to this? And a lot of companies, you would be surprised to say like, sorry, we don't have an API, or, you know, that's only for internal use, but we can send you an Excel file that's got all of that information in it if you want it. And so it's worth reaching out to companies. It can be tricky to find who to contact, but if you just reach out, if they've got like a developer site and you can email their dev team, that's great. But oftentimes you can go through customer service and ask a question. And the worst case scenario is they say no, right? And at that point you can say, all right, I'll just use dummy data and build out the data myself. But that is definitely an option to reach out to them and see if you can get an inside connection.
Doug, one of the places I did find it actually does allow access to their API is Kroger's.
Interesting. Yeah.
But we don't have a Kroger's in Syracuse, to my knowledge. But still, proof of concept would work, though.
Yeah.
Exactly. Proof of concept would work, or you could go on the Wegmans website, right, and just see, hey, if I search for pasta, can I figure out what aisle that's in? And if it means that I can figure out what aisle it's in, that means a scraper could go through, pull out that aisle information, and save it into a database that I could use with live data. So that is another option.
I know that.
And Larry, I'm sorry, honey. I was just letting you know, I do know if you download, like Wegmans has an app, if you download their app, it actually is more like user friendly, and it literally shows you what aisles that the things are in. So that might help you.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
Wegmans has everything on their app, and you can find the aisle, and then you would have to create the map.
Right. So I know, like Tiffany was saying, on the app that you download, when you put it on your list, it will tell you what aisle or what section it's in. Like if it's in dairy, it'll say dairy. If it's in an aisle, it'll tell you specifically what aisle. I don't know. I got to see if they do that on the actual website.
They do. Their website is actually powered by Instacart. And so Instacart is actually, even though it's all branded as Wegmans, Instacart is the one actually running their website. But yeah, the general concept here is anything that you can get on the web, we can find a way to tell the computer to get that to store into a database. So a scraper is definitely an option. It is going to be, I don't want to say on the harder side, but on the more advanced side to get it to work. But it is totally not off the table, and it's something that we could easily work on in one-on-ones to get working. So just an option for you.
And just, I want to take one time. So like, in essence, we would have to say, hey, scraper, go put this in the search category. When they give you back the answer, then find the aisle in that answer.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Or there may be another way of browsing their website where you can browse by store area, right? And maybe get it all from there. The other thing you could do is pass through the search results. So you would ask your user, hey, what are you looking for? And they would say pasta. So you would go type pasta into their website, get all of the search results, and pass it through to the end user and say, well, which one of these pastas do you want? And when they click on it, then you would go get that aisle information and save that into the list. So that's another option as well of maybe I don't need to scrape all of this in advance. Maybe I'll use a real-time scraper that's just typing in the search query for my user.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Since mine has the 4 routes and they have 4 different ratings, could I scrape something that would give me a route? Like that would take all the data, but then give me a route that I could ride, and then I ride it?
So you wouldn't have to scrape it because they have an API. So scraping is always going to add a layer of complexity on top of the API, because basically the bot has to work like a user does. But when you're interacting with the API, you have access to that data directly. So you definitely could start going through, pulling in that data and saying like, hey, build me a route. But that would be a capstone by itself, right? Of working with GIS data, which is all the geography information, and figuring out how to piece routes together and how to figure out like, hey, I'm at the intersection of here and here. How do I figure out where to go next? So it really depends on, so there's this concept called scope creep. And your scope of the project is everything that you would like to get done on it, right? And the scope creep is what happens that over time you go, oh, well, if I can post information about routes, I could also post information about the rating of the route. And then, oh, well, if I can post the rating of the route, I could also post a map of it. And then, well, if I post a map, then I can make it show in, red, green, yellow, how great the route is. Oh, well, if I can do that, then maybe I could make it so when you hover over it, you could see why it was rated that, right? And you get spiraling here of adding all of these features. So you want to be careful and say, what is my MVP? Where am I starting at? because chances are you're going to get through to the end of project week 2 or even 3 and go, oh my God, I can't believe all the work I still have to do on this. And that's okay. But you do want to think through, what is my objective here? What is the most important thing for me to get done on this project? And that's where you want to focus.
Well, I would like to pull data, and then maybe they give me a route. And then if I can pull data and gather a route, then I can ride the route and then blog about the route that I rode.
Which is totally fine.
Okay. I'm writing all this down.
Other questions?
What they explained GitHub, but can you go over what we're going to
Be learning next week?
Yes. And shouldn't everyone have gone in and done that thing that the guy sent? So we should come in tomorrow with all that done. Okay.
So you should have your GitHub account created and the GitHub student pack activated. If you haven't, I'm sure Nathan will spend some time sometime next week making sure your accounts are set up. So GitHub is source code management, SCM, which basically means, okay, I've got my code and I'm going to be making changes to it over time. Wouldn't it be nice if I could not only save that code and be able to go back through it like a timeline, but also be able to back up that code and have it somewhere else? So it's important to identify there's a difference between Git and GitHub. GitHub is a company that hosts Git repositories and uses Git itself. Git is an open source technology that no one owns. And it was actually invented by the same person who invented the Linux operating system. So what Git does is it gives you a way to keep track of all of your code over time and also push it up to GitHub or some other Git host to save that code and back it up. Git is also the industry standard for when you're working on a code base with someone else. It allows you to make sure that if you're working on the same file at the same time, that you can merge those two together and not have any conflicts. Or if you do have conflicts, it gives you a framework to resolve them. So tomorrow sometime next week, you will be downloading a program called SourceTree, which is a program that you interact with to make Git work. And you'll be learning all of the concepts. You'll be learning the first half of the Git concepts of how do I commit my code? How do I push it to make sure it's up on GitHub? How do I make a repository, which is basically the folder all of your code is sitting in? And so that's what you'll be getting into next week, starting tomorrow. Does that answer your question, or is that still too vague?
No, and we're gonna do that's a good answer. So we're gonna do DevOps next week too.
Next week, yeah. So Nathan is going to be your instructor next week, and Latonia, who was a cohort 2 graduate, is going to be your TA. So I will be lurking in the shadows of Zoom. I will probably jump in and see how it's going. But Nathan will be your instructor. He taught DevOps in cohort 2 as well, so he knows kind of the pacing and how all of that goes. But DevOps next week, I think Nathan will start posting his outlines. He may even have a week 6 day 1 outline already posted. But he should be kind of following the same flow that we are in terms of outlines and breaks and all of that stuff. Other questions?
No, I had one, but I forgot.
Not a problem.
That developers pack, I when it was first sent out, I clicked and activated it or whatever. Do we access that through our GitHub account? How do we get to that?
You do. If you just do a search for GitHub student pack on Google, it will be the first link. It's education.github.com/pack. And if you click the sign in button, and then go to benefits, that will show you, I think, everything. Although their website's kind of glitching. Oh, okay. If you go to, let me just share my screen. Let me sign out and show you the whole. And Nathan's going to go over this tomorrow, so no big deal. But if you go to github.com, I'm sorry, GitHub student pack, and then click on the GitHub student developer pack. Over on the right, there's a sign in button. So if you sign in, it should take you to this page. And then if you go to students and explore student programs, and then get benefits for students, nope. If you go to get your student developer pack and then scroll down, here are all of the benefits down here. So Nathan will touch on a couple of these. It may not be tomorrow, but sometime throughout the week, he will touch on this. And something like getting a free .me domain name from Namecheap might be a good example. So if I wanted maxmatthews.me as my domain name through the GitHub student pack, I would be able to get that for free. And there are a couple other ones. Name.com offers 1 free year of a domain registration. So that might be a good one to check out as well. And there are lots of other benefits in here.
Thank you.
No problem. Other questions?
There was still a lot. Oh, go ahead, Stephanie. It's probably important in my question. Anyways.
No, it's I had a question about, I guess in one of the classes we had something called pen.io and we were linking it to something. And I wasn't sure what that was and what the difference between that and GitHub was.
Yeah, great question. So CodePen.io, I don't want to say is a competitor to GitHub, but it's kind of an alternative. So you would use GitHub for a bigger project where you may have a couple hundred files that you're trying to keep track of. But CodePen is a great, it's like a sandbox in that you can throw your code in there and kind of have a live preview of it and not have to deal with hosting or getting the code checked in or any of that stuff. So what we did in, I want to say that was maybe week 5, day 3, was we took our example projects, the feedback form or the weather app, whatever it is, and copied and pasted our HTML and CSS into a new CodePen. And then that CodePen is what we link to on our portfolio site. So ideally, you would link to both. You would have your code up in GitHub, which right now you don't know how to do, which is okay, you will learn. But that is a nice place so that when someone's browsing your portfolio and goes, I want to see how they built that, they could click on your GitHub link, see all of your code, and be off and running. But CodePen is great because they can click on the CodePen link and actually see the live preview of your code and also peruse the HTML and CSS if they wanted to. So you don't have to do that for every single one of your portfolio projects, but it is a good idea to not only have a GitHub link where they can get to all of your code, but also have a CodePen link where they can see all of your code as it's kind of running live. And later in the program, we'll get into deploying and having other places that you can link to a live demo of your site. But for the HTML, CSS, front-end only projects, CodePen can be a great place to kind of get your site up and running and viewable on the web.
Thank you.
No problem.
So you have to verify that you're a student for the
GitHub student pack. Max Gerlach should have sent you a link with an invite code to join in. I'm guessing he sent that as an email, but if you don't have it, I can try and find that in the Google Drive and
chat. He sent us a link and it's a spreadsheet and all of us individually have a link. So you click on your link attached to your name and it has your code.
But I do want to say that with me, I had a kind of similar problem like that, is that I had a GitHub. So when I clicked the link, it was already linked. I guess it was linked to that same email. And I don't know, I had a lot going on, but Jesse ended up remaking me a new link because it was just too much going on with it. So you may need a new link.
Wayne, I just sent you the link, your individual one in
It's
Slack.
in your face.
If you can't get into that, let me know and we can regenerate one for you.
I'll try right now. All right.
Any other questions?
Oh, okay. Nope. Okay, so one more question, which is weird, but is it bad that I don't have a capstone yet?
Yeah.
No. No, it's not fine. So we don't, so some people get their capstone idea and they're super excited and they dive in and hit the ground running. There are other people that are like, I just don't know what to make, right? And that's okay. We give you a whole week to think about it because it's a major decision, and we don't want to force you into doing something that you don't want to work on. However, the idea is hopefully you start asking your other students or see what they're building, and get some inspiration and go from there. So major sources of inspiration are problems that you've had, right? Where you're like, oh man, I really wish there was just an app that would let me do this. Some piece of data that you find is particularly hard to access that you would want to work with, right? So Christy's taking the bike data and saying, hey, this is not in a format that I would be able to easily get a route out of it, but wouldn't it be nice if there was an app that let me do that and then I could get a personal recommendation? Great capstone idea. You may talk to some friends. Maybe there's someone you know who's a business owner and they will give you an idea of like, one thing I really struggle with in my business is getting this, or customers are always asking me if I could have something that, you know, let me check in, or you know, you could look at, you could be like, I really like movies, so it would be cool if I built a movie theater ticketing app. That's a great capstone, right? You don't necessarily need to own a movie theater, but if you were like, movies are my jam and that's what I want to work with, then that's completely fine. I just saw a great project that was an Owen Wilson WoW database. And it is literally just clips of every time Owen Wilson says wow in JSON format with MP4 link to the video clip of him saying it. And it like gives you the timestamp of where it is in the movie, and you can just hit the random button and it keeps on generating all these different wows, and you can hit the little play button. And I don't know why you would want to do that. If you were a huge Owen Wilson fan, maybe, sure, but that would be a great capstone, right? Because it's hitting on all of these concepts. So whatever you want to do is completely fine. A lot of people will do a lightweight CMS, content management system, meaning that they build out a little interface for them as an admin so that they can go in and add in information, right? So the name and the description of something and maybe what tags it's related to, and they hit the post button, and all of a sudden any live user who is not signed in can see all of the posts as you add them to the website. That's a very common capstone project. You can put your own little spin on it because content is obviously very broad. I know a lot of people get into music projects and they want to do something music related and have different audio clips on their website. Really is wide ranging. And we have some capstones where people get a couple hundred lines of code together and they are just ecstatic they made it to that point and they graduated the program. We have other students who do like a 4,000 line project and are doing web scrapers and diving into databases and doing something really involved. So the capstone is as challenging as you would like to make it. But if you get an idea list together, Even if it's not fully fleshed out, that's something that you can schedule a one-on-one with me, and we can kind of talk about what that app would look like, or what the website would look like, or what ideas we could add to it. But I would say the best place of starting is finding a passion project, or finding something that you find frustrating. My first full stack app was when I was a student at SU. And I thought it was ridiculous that I would go down to the front desk of the dorm, and when I asked for a package, they would pull out an 11x17 sheet of paper, and they had handwritten all of the tracking numbers, all like 20 digits of it, onto this table. And I was like, what happens if someone like takes that home or spills coffee on it or something? And they were like, oh, we'd be screwed. We'd have to like go back through all the packages, and if someone couldn't find one, like we would have no trail of them. And so I built an app that let the front desk scan in the barcode on the package, and it would automatically send an email to the recipient saying, hey, you've got a package ready for pickup. That was my first full stack app. And then from there, I built a scheduling app. And then from there, I thought it was ridiculous that they were passing around a piece of paper for attendance in classrooms, right? And one person would forget to pass it on, and you get to the end of class, and there would be like 150 people in this lecture hall that hadn't signed in for the attendance sheet. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. We all have smartphones. We're all connected to the Wi-Fi. Why don't we just see who's in the location area? And if they've been there for more than 15 minutes, we'll count them in for attendance. And I built an entire app around that. So you can really go wherever you would like in your capstone. It's just a matter of figuring out what you find to be frustrating.
I like the audio clip idea. What you said? Oh, somebody Wilson says, wow. I like that one.
I will send you the I will put it in the live stream channel. It was someone at Free Code Camp that actually built this app. And it literally
you're human, you can't do nothing about
it. Literally every time you load this page, it loads in a different movie of when he said it, and it has the total number of wows in the movie, the full line where he said it, the timestamp, what his character's name was, and then the entire clip of him saying it. So I can literally copy and paste this link in, and it will just play the 1 second clip. I may not be sharing audio, but it's just the clip of him saying, wow. I'm sure someone spent at least a week's worth of work putting all of this together, and now it is tweeted out on the Free Code Camp blog or Twitter or whatever. And it's literally just all this information about Owen Wilson saying, wow. If you would like to use that for your capstone, you totally could. We probably need to find a way to make it more full stack oriented, because you need to have a database. But you could take that and say, I want to save all of my favorite wows, and I'm going to create a new account and let users create accounts and save their favorite wows. And there's a full stack capstone. So wherever you would like to go with it is completely okay.
I watch a lot of TV, so I could see utilizing that.
Yep.
That sounds like a lot of fun, but I think I might stick with the bike, but that's a good idea.
Yeah, anything that any database that you can find, we can definitely find a way to incorporate it. Even if you can't get an API access, we can find a way to scrape it. Lots of different ideas, and we try and leave the flexibility up to you to figure out what you want to do. So unfortunately, I don't have a next step for you, but just spending some time over the next 72 hours, right? Don't rush into this, but think about your life and think about, this is a frustrating point for me, and it would be cool if I had an app that let me do that quicker. And that's what we can find a way to build, or at least get you started on.
What about, do you think that I like to shop, so I'm wondering if it would be if you could create an app that would help you find. I know they have some, but like coupons or discounts and stuff like that. I know that they have, but something like that. I'm wondering. I don't know if anybody else likes to shop or likes to get discounts on stuff to
Yeah, and that's another good point of like, just because the app exists doesn't mean that you can't build it, right? Like that is a great example of a good full stack project. You could save the coupon codes in a database. You could build out the website that let you add new ones. You could track whether people use the code or not. You could track whether the code worked or not. That's another great full stack app that you could totally go down that path and build that out.
coupons on toilet paper. Remember how hard it was to get toilet paper at one point? That might be a good app.
Well, with the whole country starting to turn back to red, it might be worth stocking up on toilet paper. Just saying.
Right. You know what? Now I feel like I made my bike decision too soon because now I'm like, wait.
So your capstone project could be a toilet paper printer that would print jokes onto toilet paper, and every time you ripped off a new sheet of toilet paper, you'd have a joke on it. I mean, you could really go wherever you wanted to with this capstone. I know it's 6 o'clock, but I was late, so I'm happy to stick around and keep on answering questions. But if you guys want to get out of here, that's also completely fine.
Anybody, if you guys are gonna go, I want to possibly get my buttons in the right spot on my Netflix.
Go
Sure.
right ahead.
Check Wegmans and Price Chopper. See if I can get that information.
Larry, do you know Evelyn? Her last name is Ingram now, but it wasn't before. But she works. She has like a position at Wegmans. I wonder if you.
I don't think I know her.
She works at Wegmans.
I'm gonna do what Max said. I'm just gonna go up to the customer service and be like, hey, do you have like a sheet you could print out just where everything is located in the store? Go from there.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I got old documents, so I can use those as worst case scenario.
And
But
Larry, if I get anything, I'll share it with you.
All right, appreciate it. Like I said, Kruger's is one that I know that we can access. So, all right, take care, everybody.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.
See you, Larry.
Good night.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Nicole, did you want me to stay on for your question about buttons?
Yeah,
or are you
just
working
a
through
few
it?
minutes because
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
so close to being done. I just want it to be submitted already. So here, I'm gonna share my screen, desktop, share, and then here is my code. I think I was having trouble with my CSS. So here is my, one second. It's this one. Here's my website.
Okay. It's looking
Coming
good.
together, but I can't get my Bridgerton to move down, and then
Okay.
I don't have a space for the words, and then I just have these two buttons here, and then I can't get my home TVs and shows to scoot over a little bit.
Okay. So probably won't be able to tackle all of them right now.
Oh yeah, of course.
Where's the most frustrating thing right now where you're stuck?
Right over
Getting that
here
on
where
the next line.
Bridgerton.
Okay, so let's go to that in your HTML.
Here it is. That's where I left
Okay.
off.
So, okay, so what you would probably want to do is you've got your show name Bridgerton in a div already. I would put the Netflix symbol copy and the word series in its own div. So do your closing tag on the, no, go back to the beginning of 59. Don't forget your closing arrow there. And then take that closing div that it inserted for you and just cut it and paste it at the end of the S of series. and save that, and let's see what that looks like. Okay, then we've got a different problem.
Yeah, still same.
Okay. I don't love that your prettier isn't running, which tells me that there's a problem with an opening div or a closing div somewhere.
Just check my container. That's fine.
Yeah, nothing.
This one.
Has it been working for you before?
It was working for me before, like it was where in the sections that it was supposed to be, but I realized I didn't have the top 10, so I got to messing with it and yeah. And then I was messing with these material icons for a little while, getting them all evenly lined up. I don't know if you can see fully. I was trying to get them evenly lined up. Yeah, and then I finally figured out how to get that icon in there. Then I was trying to change this button because it was a different button, trying to get it to look more like this one. I was messing with the font of this.
Let me just take a look to see what's going on. Did we do like a display inline at some point?
No, I haven't used those. I think maybe I might have. Because I went through over all the homework and then I tackled this. I think I had so many ideas in my head about what it could be that it was just
okay. So first things first, we've got a property in here that doesn't have a value, and that's causing some problems. So I'm going to take that out, and that made your red underlined squiggly angries go away. Then we've got another problem here where we don't have a closing block. So let's close that. That didn't fix anything, but it made your CSS not be mad at you anymore. And then here you've got a div, and you targeted any div that you use anywhere on the site, and you made it work as an inline block.
What does that even mean, right?
Yeah, it basically is going to make it so any divs by default take up the whole width, right? So if we have a div and a div, they're going to go down the page. But because you made it an inline block, you basically made every div go left to right as if it were text. So I'm afraid to see what this is going to do, because you probably meant to use the inline block in only one section of your site, like the nav bar, but it's breaking it elsewhere. So now your Netflix series is on the right line, but it broke everything up here.
It doesn't look that bad.
So what we might want to do is say, hey, I only want to apply any div that is in the nav bar. That's what I want to be an inline block. But everything else, I want to be a normal div. Oh,
I started giving up because there was no changes being made.
But at least this fixes your spacing issue, so you should be able to go on from here.
Okay.
Is there anything else where you're like, I've got no idea how to do that?
1 second, please, ma'am. Thank you. No, I feel like I can figure out the rating and restart button. It's just the spacing in between the play and the more info button.
Okay. So that one is coming from.
I'll put you in the keyboard.
There's a call 3 and a call 3, but because you put all of that in a row, I think what we can do.
Go look for endure. No, I can't come. You go get it.
I'm wondering if we can take these two buttons and just put them in the same column. Yep. So I'm going to grab that button and just move it up to this other button. And then I think what we can do is just take out this col and this col. And I think we may have been too aggressive in the design. So not on your side, but on mine, of using too many columns. So I'm just going to take that out. And then you've got an extra div in here that I don't think we want. So span opening, span closing, button opening, button closing, and then we can just make this its own div. Because we're not using columns, we don't need the row. And now we have them right next to each other. So
Can you hear me now?
I can.
I can't hear you guys if you're talking at all. I got to see your lips moving.
You can't hear me? Wayne, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
It's
okay.
gone.
You can't hear me, Nicole?
Can y'all hear me? Oh yeah, no, I can't hear you guys.
Testing. Yeah, it must be on your side. Anyway, what I ended up, well, you can't hear me. All right, I'm gonna jump. I will see you guys.